and welcome to math. Today we're going to learn about ratios and rates. Okay, so a ratio is a comparison of two values, and it can be written in three different ways. You can see A colon B, or you can say A to B, or you could see it written as a fraction. All three of these ways are how you could write different ratios, and it's always going to be written in simplest form. Okay, so this can say A to B. Okay, so we're comparing two different things here, right? So this one I'm comparing 15 girls to 24 boys. So how could I do that? Well, one of the ways is I can do it as a fraction. That's the way I usually start it as. So it'd be 15 girls to 24 boys. And then that way I know how to simplify it a little bit easier. I can see that both the 15 and 24 can both be divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 would give me 5. 24 divided by 3 would give me 8. So it's really 5 girls to 8 boys. It's 5 to 8 ratio. All right, our next one says 6 chaperones to 42 students. Okay, so I'm going to start it off as a fraction again. We're going to 6 chaperones to 42 students. All right, so I can simplify that because 6 and 42 can both be divided by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 42 divided by 6 is 7. So I have a 1 to 7 ratio of chaperones to students. 1 to 7. You can write it as this, 1 colon 7. That means 1 to 7, or like this, 1 to 7. All right, let's do one more together. Okay, next one says 30 quarters to 72 nickels. Let's start it off with a fraction. 30 quarters to 72 nickels. I can simplify that for sure. They're both even, but I see that they can both be divided by 6. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 72 divided by 6 is 12. So I have 5 quarters for every 12 nickels, or 5 to 2 ratio. Sorry, 5 to 12 ratio. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. 8 Skittles to 14 M&Ms. Type your answer on formative to see if you are correct. All right, let's try this word problem here. It says this past season, the hockey team had 48 wins and 28 losses. Find each ratio in simplest form. Okay, so wins to losses. If I'm comparing wins to losses, I see they have 48 wins and 28 losses. So it'd be 48 to 28. And I can simplify that. I see right away that both of those can be divided by 4. Right? 48 divided by 4 is 12. 28 divided by 4 is 7. So they have 12 wins to 7 losses. For every 12 wins, they have 7 losses. The next one says losses to the total games played. So I can see that they have 28 losses, but to find the total, they have 48 wins and 28 losses. So I have to add those two together, and that gives me 76. So I have 28 to 76. And I can reduce that because, once again, those can be divided by 4. 28 divided by 4 gives me 7. 76 divided by 4 gives me 19. So I have 7 to 19. 7 losses for every 19 games played. That's for this hockey team. Okay, sometimes with ratios, you have to compare measurements. And when you compare measurements, they have to be in the same quantity. They have to be in the same measurement. You can't compare, well, you can't do like 1 foot to 4 inches. They have to either both be feet or both be inches, okay? So what you have to do is convert sometimes. You have to convert it from one unit to another. So for example, this says 1 foot to 4 inches. Well, it's easier to convert 1 foot to inches than it is 4 inches to feet. So how many inches are in a foot? Well, there's 12 inches in a foot, right? So there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So 1 foot is really 12 inches. So that means that this ratio would be 12 over 4. 12 over 4, and I can simplify that into 3 over 1. So that means for every 3 feet, it'll be 4 inches. Or every 3 feet, it'll be every 3 inches will be 1 inch. 3 to 1 inch. Okay? Go ahead and you can try that one on your own. And let's do this next one. This next one says feet to yards. 2 feet to 2 yards. Well, it's easier to convert the yards to feet than it is 2 feet to yards, because 1 yard is 3 feet. So if 1 yard is 3 feet, 2 yards is 6 feet. So this is really 6 feet here. We have to convert them so they're both the same. So my ratio here would be 2 feet to 6 feet, and then I could simplify that to 1/3. 1/3. So 1 foot to every 3 feet. All right, the next one says 4 yards to 30 inches. Okay, I think it's going to be easier to move the yards to inches, so I'm going to do that. So yards to inches. First, I have to convert it to feet. So 4 yards is the same thing as 12 feet, because there's 3 feet in every yard. And then change feet to inches. There's 12 inches in every foot. So I have to do 12 times 12. There's 144 inches. So I'm comparing 144 inches to 30 inches. So my ratio would be 144 over 30. And 144 over 30 simplifies to 24 over 5. Because both of those can be divided by 6. Oops, sorry, 5. I was saying 6 and trying to write 5 at the same time. 24 to 5. All right, the next one says 3 pounds to 24 ounces. Well, it's going to be easier to change the pounds to ounces than the ounces to the pounds. All right, because there are 16 ounces in a pound, and that doesn't give me 16 or 32, so it's not going to give me a whole number there. It's going to give me a decimal. So 3 pounds, I would do 3 times 16, and 3 times 16 gives me 48. So this will be 48 ounces to 24 ounces. So then I can just write that as my ratio of 48 over 24. And what does 48 over 24 simplify to? Well, they can both be divided by 24. So that would give me a 2-to-1 ratio. All right, last one here. It says 28 minutes to 1 hour. It's going to be easier to change the hour to minutes than this 28 minutes to an hour. So there's 60 minutes an hour. So if it's 1 hour, that means it's 60 minutes. Right? 60 M-I-N, 60 minutes. So my ratio would be 28 to 60. And then I could simplify that, because both of these can be divided by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 60 divided by 4 is 15. So I have a 7 to 15 ratio for this minutes to hours. Okay, so when there's different units of measure, you have to convert them to the same unit of measure. This one, you can check your work on formative. There's a question on there to see if you got it right, and then fill it in on your notes. Okay, rates are ratios that compare two different quantities. Okay, so rates are compared to two different quantities. All right, so for example, 10 miles for 4 hours, you're doing miles per hour, right? So I could figure this out, 10 to 4, I could simplify that into and make that 5 to 2, right? Because they're both even, I can divide by 2. So that would really simplify to 5 to 2. So every 2 hours, I'm going 5 miles, or I'm going 5 miles every 2 hours, right? And when you're making unit rates, you want to make it have a denominator of 1. So to change a rate to a unit rate, the numerator, you must have to divide the numerator by the denominator, and that will give you with a denominator of 1. All right, so how do I do this? Well, the first thing is I'm going to write my ratio, right? So 364 miles in 7 hours. So I'm going to write 364 over 7. 364 over 7. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 364 divided by 7, and that's going to give me my unit rate. So that's basically trying to figure out what my miles per hour is, right? So if I do 364 divided by 7, I get 52. So I'm traveling 52 miles per hour. Miles/hour. All right, this next one says 50 yards in 6.4 seconds. So rate my ratio, I would do 50 over 6.4. And then to get my unit rate, I would divide those two. I would do 50 divided by 6.4. And that's going to give me about 7.8 yards per second. Yards per second. That little slash means per. So that's what you're putting that for, yards per second. So it's telling you that they're going 7.8, sorry, not 78, 7.8 yards per second. All right, my next one, I got 210 words in 6 minutes. All right, so I'm going to write my ratio, 210 to 6. So to find my unit rate, I do 210 divided by 6. 210 divided by 6 is 35. So I'm doing 35, and this says words to minutes, right? So I'm going to write words. I'm going to put WD for words because I'm running out of space. And then minutes, M-I-N for minutes. So all you're doing is you're writing a ratio, and then you simplify it by dividing the numerator by the denominator, the top by the bottom. All right, 232 students in 8 classes. So my ratio is 232 to 8. 232 over 8. And then I would do 232 divided by 8, and that tells me that there are 29 students in each class. So it's 29 students / class. All right, so all you do is you write your ratio from what they give you, and if they ask for their unit rate, you divide the top number by the bottom number. You divide the numerator by the denominator, and that gives you your unit rate, how much it is for one of them. So for 1 hour, I went 52 miles. For 1 second, I went 7.8 yards. In one class, there's 29 students, okay? Go ahead, pause the video. These will pop up here in formative as well, too, if you're doing it on there. and try these ones on, and they'll let you know if you got it right or wrong. Just remember, set up your ratio first, then divide the numerator by the denominator, and that will give you the unit rate. All right, where this is very useful for is in real life. Is when you're buying things. When you're buying things, it's you're trying to figure out what's the better deal, right? So if I'll do one example here, and you guys are going to try one on your own. If I have two options for a box of crayons, I have one that's 64 of them for $2.99, or another one that's 120 of them for $6.99, and I'm trying to figure out which one's the better deal. So what I can do is I'm going to write it as a ratio, 64 over $2.99, and then I can divide it, and that will tell me how much it is for each crayon, right? So that tells me that each one is about 5 cents for this top option. It's about 5 cents per each one. If I do this bottom one, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't have a whole lot of room over here, so I'm going to do it over here. 120 over 6.99. And when I do that, 120 divided by 6.99, that gives me about 0.06. So that's going to be about 6 cents per crayon. So which one's the better option? Option A is the better option because I'm saving 1 penny per crayon. Okay? Go ahead, pause the video, try this one down here about paper towels. You got a 6-pack of paper towels for $9.79 and an 8-pack of paper towels for $12.49. Which one's the better deal? Which one are you getting the paper towels at for cheaper? All right, go ahead, try that on your own. Pause the video. It'll be informative too. Put your answer on there and tell you if you're right. All right, but that's a quick review of ratios and rates. I hope you guys did well on that. We're going to practice with more of this in class, and this is going to help build on what we're going to do with proportions starting next class. All right, I'll talk at you later. See ya. Bye.